What's up, Star Wars fans? Today I want to talk about characters that could be making their first appearance in The Mandalorian. That's right, characters that are new to The Mandalorian, and I asked you, the community, what you thought about this, and as always, you came up with some fantastic predictions. So let's head on over to the community tab where no one has left a comment. They state, I think it's a given that we will see Finn Rao. And thanks for that comment, no one. Certainly Finn Rao does make a lot of sense, as he was a character that Dave Filoni used in Star Wars Rebels to educate us about the Darksaber and Mandalorian lore. So I could certainly see Din Djarin tracking down Finn Rao as someone that is going to help him with the Darksaber and help educate Din Djarin on the importance of this lightsaber. But thanks for that comment, no one. Let's move on now to Agrav GP. He states, I don't think we're going to see any Star Wars Rebels characters. We will see Finn Rao and Pav Vizsla, and while it seems likely that Sabine will appear plot-wise, the actress was only recently casted, so she's probably not going to appear before Ahsoka. I do think that they will pull off some shocks, just like they did in Season 2. And thanks for that comment, Agrav GP. Again, someone else thinking that Finn Rao will make an appearance in Season 3 of The Mandalorian, which honestly wasn't something that was on my radar until I started reading these comments. But that said, we really don't know behind the scenes when Natasha Liu Bordizzo was cast as Sabine Wren, so just because the story broke recently doesn't mean that that could have happened well in advance of The Mandalorian Season 3, and therefore a new character to The Mandalorian Season 3 could certainly be Sabine Wren. But hey, thanks for your speculation, Agrav GP. Let's move on now to Chris Walker. They comment on the community tab, I think Sabine is a good possibility. I imagine they'd want to introduce her to the wider audience before the Ahsoka show drops, like they did with Ahsoka herself. Mando Season 3 seems like the ideal place given that Sabine has a history with the Darksaber and learned how to use it, so I can see her being the one to teach Din Djarin. And you make a great point here, Chris Walker. Sabine does know how to use the Darksaber. After all, Finn Rao does know a lot about Mandalorian history and the Darksaber history itself, but I don't think he's actually ever picked up the blade, and so Sabine Wren would make a far superior mentor when it comes to that situation. Now, could we see Finn Rao in The Mandalorian Season 3, and then Din Djarin meeting Sabine Wren in the Ahsoka series? I certainly think that could be a possibility. But hey, thanks for that comment, Chris Walker. Let's move on now to Rick. He states on the community tab, I really hope Dave and John stay away from many new characters. It seems like lately they've been leaning on cameos instead of actual story. And Rick, that is definitely a valid criticism, and I can remember Dave Filoni addressing this on a Rebels Recon. This was during the time that he was introducing the likes of Ahsoka Tano and say Captain Rex into Star Wars Rebels. And certainly his rule of thumb then was that it has to make sense for the story. And I think when it comes to Sabine Wren, it would make sense because she knows the Darksaber and has learned to use it in the past. So she's one of the few characters that could actually teach Din Djarin how to use the blade. That said, another character that might be able to teach Din Djarin how to use the blade is someone that he already knows in Bo-Katan. Now, we certainly haven't seen Bo-Katan training with the Darksaber like we did with Sabine Wren in Star Wars Rebels. So who knows if she ever mastered the use of the blade, and so we really don't know if she could be a mentor to Din Djarin. But that said, thanks for that comment, Rick. We also have Pabs, who has an interesting critique similar to Rick. They state, I don't think we should see a lot of new characters, because then the universe starts to feel way less real when every character we know starts to meet each other just out of sheer coincidence. They all live in a huge galaxy, not in the same city. And yeah, certainly seeing too many characters and relying on these cameos to carry Season 3 of The Mandalorian, well, that's certainly not what I want, and I doubt it's what a lot of the fandom want too. But hey, thanks for that comment. Let's move on to another one from Hello, I'm Tebow. What if Snoke takes the place of Jorah Sabayoth? And instead of this all taking place on Wayland, it's actually Exegol. The whole Wayland thing could be a red herring. And then the Thrawn campaign can be linked directly to the sequels and explain more of how the First Order got their power. And I really like this speculation. Jorah Sabayoth, for those who don't know, was an insane Dark Jedi that played an important role in the Heir to the Empire novels that are no longer canon. And it was this crazy Jedi that actually became the guardian of the Imperial storehouse in Mount Tantus on the planet Wayland. And with the setup of Mount Tantus and the planet Wayland in the Bad Batch Season 1, it certainly makes a lot of sense that we might see it somewhere in the Ahsoka series or even in the Mandalorian Season 3. But one way or another, introducing Snoke, or maybe even an early version of Snoke, since in The Rise of Skywalker it was heavily implied that he was just a clone, well, that makes a lot of sense because Thrawn isn't going to be able to battle the likes of Ezra Bridger, Ahsoka Tano, Sabine Wren, maybe even Luke Skywalker if Thrawn doesn't have some sort of Force sensitive on his side. And hey, Snoke could be that Force sensitive. But hey, thanks for that great speculation, Hello Tebow. I'm moving on now to another great comment from Jonathan Chappell, and he states, although I would love to see Sabine again, I don't think she will appear. So I'm going with her biological family instead of, say, the Ghost Crew, which is her true family. If Mandalorian Season 3 is based around the reclamation of Mandalore, there is a high possibility of seeing Ursa, Tristan, and Ulrich, along with Finn Rao too. We know that Bo-Katan is involved already, and given how the arc ended in Rebels, it is very possible that Cruz and the Wrens are still allied at this point. I feel like these characters could help Din because they are related to the last person to wield the Darksaber successfully. And hey, this makes a lot of sense, Jonathan. Seeing Ursa Wren at the very least working with Bo-Katan, that just makes a lot of sense. Not only were they allies in Star Wars Rebels, they were also allies in Season 7 of the Clone Wars. So if Ursa Wren is still alive, she might actually be the one to get Sabine Wren involved. If she does meet Din Djarin, she may call upon her daughter Sabine to help train Din with the Darksaber. And thanks for that speculation, Jonathan Capel. Let's get back to the community tab now, where we have Might Heal commenting. They state, I think Thrawn is in control of Mandalore in order to search for Ezra. Carson Teva will get Hera's battle group to join the Mandalorians, and Mandalore will be liberated. And yeah, even though we've talked quite a bit about Mount Tantus on Wayland, I really think that might be part of the Season 4 plot, and that the major plot in the Season 3 of The Mandalorian, and then at the climax of this season, we are going to see Bo-Katan and Din Djarin reclaiming Mandalore for the Mandalorian people. I mean, I suppose it could be also a little different than that even. Season 3 The Mandalorian could be Din Djarin going back to Mandalore, discovering what that planet is currently like. Perhaps there is still an Imperial garrison there, and by the end of the Season 3 of The Mandalorian, Thrawn is revealed to be the one behind that Imperial remnant. Season 4 then could be Din Djarin and Bo-Katan taking back Mandalore, and then Season 5 could actually be Din Djarin and Bo-Katan attacking Mount Tantus on Wayland, which I think is probably the home base of Grand Admiral Thrawn and the Imperial remnant in the Outer Rim. But hey, Star Wars fans, tell me what familiar characters you believe we will see for the first time in The Mandalorian Season 3. As always, I'm Mike, and remember, the Force will be with you always.